and welcome to episode 12 of Geekers Creepers, the podcast where we talk about the geeky side of life and we talk about the creepy side of life. My name is Rob. I am your host, and I'm joined by my co host, the man who's so cool that when he walks into a room, everyone puts on a sweater, Jose. How's it going, Jose?
Hey, what's up? I hope nobody's wearing a sweater today because it's a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful week, actually.
Yeah, it was actually really nice today. It was a really nice day
Yeah.
out. Yeah, episode number 12, man. This is my lucky
All
number,
right.
number 12. Um, by this time next week, we'll be talking about all the, well, maybe not all, but it'll be the next generation. Um, the My birthday is this Thursday, so
Oh,
we'll
all
be.
right. It's That's an Xbox Day or a PlayStation 5
It
day,
is
isn't it?
PlayStation 5 day. I'm waiting for Sony to send me
Yeah.
my PS5 for my birthday, but I don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. I think I'll just keep waiting
Oh
for.
man.
That's just a little boy's dream.
I'm gonna tweet them today to send it
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. Hey,
Like
Geekers
it's
Creepers has
Rob's
been.
birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so how you been, man?
Oh man, I've been pretty good, man. I've been busy. Oh man, it's been a rough week at work, man. One guy went on vacation, and then another guy got sick. So we're hoping that it's not what we think it is.
Oh,
And
yeah, like
we were
gonorrhea.
right, right. Well, in his case, he better hope it is because it's curable at least. But yeah, we were shorthanded, and the other guy's still on vacation all next week. So they've already
Hmm,
told me I have to go in on Tuesday. So it's gonna be a long week, man.
crazy. Good
Yeah. How
luck, and
about
hopefully,
yourself, Rob?
hopefully your buddy's okay. You know, the worker. Yeah, the one thing you don't want is to have the big
Yeah.
COVID being spread around because then you have to worry about that. You have to get tested, and it's the last
Right,
thing
right,
anybody. And
right.
it's for his safety and everybody else's. So hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. He's one of my favorite coworkers, man. Me and him, he's our age, so we get
Okay.
along great. And but yeah, I hope hopefully it's nothing serious. And but yeah, it's gonna be a rough week. So
Okay. Well, good
yeah,
luck
how
with
about
that
you,
one, Jose.
Rob?
My week was okay.
Thank you.
As usual, due to COVID out here, my job has been. There's a reason I can podcast. It's because work is kind of non-existent. So I've gone to the
Yeah.
office a few times and uh, just uh, just relaxing. I've gotten back into playing Breath of the Wild, which I I at first I think I mentioned way back when that it's one of the games that I don't like, and
Yeah.
I keep trying to go back to it. And honestly, I'm starting to actually like the game. I've been playing a lot more of it, and I've played a lot. Don't get me wrong; I put a lot of hours into this game. It just didn't
Hmm.
catch. It didn't hook me. And recently, I've started to play it. And I'm like, all right, I kind of get it. Maybe it's a different mentality now. I'm just kind of I want something that's a little more zen, and that fits it
Yeah.
perfectly. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing that one. Again, I'm still not crazy about it, but I'm actually enjoying it now. Um,
Now, have you ever played any other Zeldas?
Other than number one and number two for the Nintendo, that's it.
Yeah. Oh man.
And number two was
Because I've
tough.
hmm, which one is that one? A Link to the Past?
I believe that's A Link to the Past. Yes.
A Link to the Past. Mm. See, I never played either the original Zelda or A Link to the Past. I got into it real super late. I got into it with Wind
Hmm.
Waker,
Okay, that was
and then
Nintendo 64,
the GameCube. It
GameCube.
was with
Gotcha.
the cell shades, yeah.
Mm.
And I thought that's one of my favorite games, of all time. I put it up there, and I've been wanting to go back and try other Zeldas like Breath or not Breath of the Wild. The which was the one Ocarina of Time that everyone always
Hmm.
raves about, and then there's the other one for the 64 as well. I can't remember the name of it. And but I'd like to go back and try other Zelda games, and I keep hearing great things about Breath of the Wild. Even my niece and nephew, they're like 6 and 7, and they love that game. They play, I was actually pretty happy that they play it and that they like it.
Yeah, and look, it's a beautiful game, and I could see why people like it. My big beef about it was I was expecting something a little more like Skyrim in not like not in the gameplay, but more like that there's little towns here and there. There's
Hmm.
little encampments, dungeons. It's uh, it's not that. It's a little more. It's when it's open world. It's open world. Like there's whole. I think there's only like 4 or 5 towns, and then the land is huge. So you're just pretty much just out in the middle of nowhere, kind of
Yeah.
enjoying the scenery, as opposed to something like Skyrim where you can go from one town to the next town in 2 minutes, and in the middle of that you'll be attacked by something here and there. So it was just not what I was expecting, and I
Yeah.
think that put me off. But again, I'm starting to play it again, and I'm starting to like it. I'm starting to like it.
Well, that's good. If you get tired of it, I think you would really like Horizon Zero Dawn because it kind of reminds. I know there's a lot of people that say it has
Mhm.
kind of like a Zelda vibe to it, sort of in a weird way. But it does. I thought of it as a Zelda, as a PS4 kind of
Mhm.
Zelda type game, right? But it's like you said, you go to different towns, and you get surprise uh, attacks by the villains or the bad guys, or the game or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think if you're like, what, if you try Zelda and you get to that point again where you're like, what's not for me, um, definitely give Horizon Zero Dawn a shot. And but I'm like I said, I'm glad that you're getting back into Breath of the Wild because I've heard great things about that game.
Yeah, so Zero Dawn, I own it, and it's going to be one that I'm going to commit back to play. I'm debating about. So Steve, and you know Steve,
Hmm.
I used to work with him, and you know him. He was
Hmm.
hyping the Fist of North Star game a lot. So I've told
Yeah.
him I'm before he left. I told him I'm gonna play this game. And I did buy it. So I'm
Oh,
debating
all
about
right.
which one. He really hyped it. Like for him, that's his favorite game. So I'm thinking of giving
Hmm.
that one a shot too. Uh,
The Fifth of the North Star.
yeah.
Oh man, because I was thinking about picking up the new Yakuza game. There's the Yakuza,
Mhm.
the brand new one, which is
Mhm.
this, it's pretty much almost similar to Fist of the North Star because they're both made by Sega and it's the same
Yep.
type. And but I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna hold off on that for a bit. But yeah, I think you'll enjoy Fist of the North Star too. There obviously
Have
there
you
are two
played that one
different
already?
classes of games. No, no, but
Okay.
I've heard it's sort of like the Yakuza games, and the
Gotcha.
Yakuza games are they're great games.
Yeah.
So I think you will.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so I think you will enjoy it. I obviously it's a lot different than Horizon Zero Dawn and a Breath of the Wild,
Mhm.
but I think you'll have a blast playing it.
Yeah, I can't wait. They've been sitting there in my backlog, and I
Yeah,
keep telling myself, I'm like, I gotta play it, I gotta play it. So I'll get to that one. And then other
yeah.
than that, I'm trying to think uh what else I've been playing. Nothing really. Like I said, my PS3 broke down, so I can't go back to play those. And I think
Yeah.
I gotta save up to buy a new hard drive to see if that's the problem. And I mean,
Mm,
I have like so many games on there, and I got to get back to play those. I definitely want to, but now I can't. So
yeah.
yeah, um,
Well, hopefully it's not a serious issue where it doesn't lose all your damn games or whatever, because that would really,
well,
that would be a huge bummer.
yeah, yeah. I do have cloud storage because
Or your
I think
saves.
yeah, because of the PS Plus, but
Hmm.
still some of them like towards the end it was getting so buggy that I stopped saving them on the cloud because it would always tell me that like it would bug out on me when I tried to save it overnight. I would wake up the next morning and it would tell me like can't find the hard drive. And I'm like, all right, so I stopped doing that.
Mm,
So we'll see. Look, if
yeah.
anything, there were a bunch of new games that I wanted to play, so I didn't save any of those. I downloaded them. I was ready to start playing them. So
All right, cool.
So with that said, I think let's talk about our news of the week. First off,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of news because everything's going to be released this week coming up, but there's still a little
Hmm.
bit. All right. And to start out with, we've got the PSVR on PS5 will only be available through backwards compatibility. So this is a topic that I thought you might enjoy because both of us, I'm a big fan of VR. I know you
Yeah.
are. And it seems that PlayStation is kind of really starting to forget about VR. Let me read this article, which is on Games Radar. It was published about 6 days ago, written by Kai Delmar, and it states that Sony has emphasized that PSVR support will not be native, but will instead be available through the PlayStation 5's backwards compatibility functionality. Sony issued a statement to Upload VR stating that the PS5 versions of Hitman 3 and No Man's Sky won't support PSVR, and the headset will not be available to play PS5 games. Instead, players will have to use backwards compatibility to play the PS4 versions of Hitman and No Man's Sky in VR. We have not announced PS5 titles for the PSVR, said the Sony representative. There had been hopes among fans that the highly anticipated PS5 would be able to integrate VR capability, especially with its advanced hardware. This announcement has caused some concern regarding controllers, as the DualShock 4 and aim controller have been confirmed to not be able to support PS5 games. Those who want to use PSVR on their new PlayStation 5 will now have to make sure that they own the PS4 versions of Hitman 3 and No Man's Sky. Both of these games will have free upgrade plans available, allowing players to upgrade to the PS5 for free and bring their save data with it. For Hitman 3, players will have to buy the game digitally on PS4 to qualify for the upgrade, meaning you will not be eligible if trying to upgrade from a physical copy. Players will also need the PSVR's official camera adapter, as well as the old PlayStation camera, to be able to use their VR headsets. Fortunately, Sony intends to send the adapter out for free to PSVR owners sometime closer to the PS5 release date. Jose, man, this isn't good news for the PSVR. It seems like they're slowly just going to
They're
support
gonna
it.
Vita it.
Yeah, they're going to PS Vita it pretty much. They're taking out to the back of the shed to well, you know.
Yeah, off with the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a damn shame, man. Because I really like VR. I haven't played VR in a while, but I don't know. I don't know what could the reasons be other than it's not. It probably didn't sell as much as Sony had anticipated, maybe.
I don't think it did.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a damn shame because I was really looking forward to some kind of new VR peripheral because, granted, this is a Model One that we have for the PS4, but it has too many wires and connect to this and connect to that, and you have that extra which looks like a little mini PS4 on the side of it, and yeah, it would have been pretty cool to see something new and something more compact or smaller and newer games as well because I guess we're probably not going to get no new games as
No.
well.
And that's the thing. Like, all right, so just like you, I didn't play the PSVR all the time, PSVR all the time,
Hmm.
but I did play it. I really, really liked it. And like, whenever I have people come over and I show my PlayStation, I don't show them PlayStation games because nobody really cares to watch it and watch me play a game. But I'll hook them up to the VR and I'm like, check this out. This is really cool. So, yeah, I mean, as some of my favorite experiences were through PSVR this last generation. You had the
Yeah,
Rush of Blood, that roller coaster haunted house game.
Rush of Blood was
You,
great. Hmm.
you had Astrobot, which was unbelievably cool. I like Skyrim in VR, which I go back to and play every now and then. Um, and then, like, even
Moss. Did you
Moss,
did you ever play Moss?
I played the demo, and that was really cool. Um,
Oh my God, that was a great game.
and there was the one I mentioned last time, which was along not Among Us. It was like along something, but
Hmm.
yeah, that was also one of those games that it was a smaller game, but it really I played the whole thing through it. It was just amazing in VR, something you wouldn't be able to experience just playing it regularly. And
Yeah.
for Sony now to say that, well, we're not going to support VR. I'll be honest. I mean, for me, that's another tick away from the fact that, well, you know, when when I finally decided to buy the next console, I'm not 100% going to go the Sony route. I'm going to look to see what Microsoft has to offer also, because look, they took away VR and that was something I was looking forward to. You're not going to support that. Well, then let's see what, if it's only games, if, you no longer have that edge, in my opinion, to Microsoft. Now you guys are on an even playing field. Now I have to see what Microsoft has to offer.
Yeah, it's a real bummer because, like you said, I enjoy VR. I haven't played it in a while, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Um, all the games that I've played were, just the first time that I put the VR headset and I tried to, one of the demos. It was just it's one of those moments, where you're kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, this is like new technology, sort of, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like when you got your first flat screen
Yeah.
or a cell or your cell phone with internet on it. It was something new, and because, like you said, if you take away the VR, it's just a regular console. And we've had consoles for a long time already. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing, um, you know, that blows us away, or shall we say, right? And yeah, I think it would be a damn shame if PlayStation gave up on. I hope not. I hope that maybe they're just going to maybe slowly phase out this version of the PSVR and introduce a new one later on. I hope that's what it is, because if not, then yeah, I would be very disappointed, knowing that we're not going to get any new VR games would be a bummer. And I would have liked to have seen, because I just have a standard PS4 Slim, so I don't have like the Pro or anything like that. And you could the graphics are very jaggy, and they're not up to par. And I would have liked to have seen it pushed with the PS5 capabilities, but I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see and hope that that they come up with a new version, I guess.
Yeah, and like you said, putting that PSVR on for the first time, you're right. It does have that. For me, you're comparing it to like the flat screen TV. For me, I was kind of more inclined thinking it's kind of like the first time I ever played Mario 64. Um, to me, that was I can remember the first time I saw that game. That was totally
Yeah,
different. It was not something I'd ever seen before. You had Mario that up until that time, the last time I saw Mario was, running across, left to right. All of a sudden
yeah,
now it was like, oh, he's a person. He's actually, you see this. And, going back to it now, you look at it, you're like, all right, come on now. It's all polygonal. But
hmm,
at that time, it was just unbelievable. You would see Mario swim, jump. I mean, even to the point where you'd see the poor guy drown and he looked like he was drowning.
yeah,
And it was just at that for me at that time, I was thinking, this is the next generation. This is so real.
yeah.
And the first time I put on the VR headset, I remember putting it on because I wanted to play the Rush of Blood, the roller coaster game.
Hmm.
I ha- was legitimately scared. I was like, that game just frightened me, and it was an experience. After that, I said, "Yep, this is." I it was that point where it cemented the fact that I was happy I bought the PSVR. I said, "Yep, this is worth it. I'm gonna." And again, you're right. It's clunky, a lot of wires. You don't play it all the time, but still, when you do get that game, when you do play some of those games, it's so immersive, and it just sucks you in, and it's an experience. It's something you have to experience. You can't show what it's like to play VR on a television screen. You
Yeah,
have to put it on and see what it's like.
yeah, I agree. It's definitely one of those where it just like wows you when you first put it in. And you're right. Like when I bought it, I was like, all right, this is the real deal, because I had never seen VR or tried a VR headset or anything like that, so I had no idea what it was going to be like. And when I put it on and just like turning my head around and being able to look 360, and it didn't look cheap or anything like that, right? Like I said, it's very jaggy, but that's due to technology. But it wasn't enough to like take you out of the experience.
Mhm.
And I remember I played the first. I think the first game I played, it was the demo game for Res, Infinite Res,
Okay.
and I was just like looking down at the floor and just seeing how it would, go on forever. I was like, man, this is, insane. I've never, experienced anything like this before. And I was actually genuinely thrilled, like this is gonna be awesome, VR, having games to play,
Mhm.
And yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Well, no, I was just thinking, we're talking about like personally for me, there's a couple of things that prevent me from playing VR. One of them, like we said, it is the wires. The other one is my
Yeah.
own paranoia. Like whenever I put the VR on, I'm always afraid that I'm going to be so involved because I put like headphones to get the full experience. That while I'm in the middle of
Hmm.
playing it, somebody's going to break in my house and like steal my stuff and murder me while while I'm like in this submersive world and not realize it. I kind of wish, and sounds so stupid, and I know it's just me being paranoid, but I kind of wish there was a little button on the VR where you could kind of see your surroundings or kind of make sure there aren't people in your apartment or house stealing your stuff while you're in VR. It's it's so dumb, but that's one of the other reasons why sometimes like late at night I'm like, do I want to play VR? I'm like, no, no, no. I'd rather wait during the day because I'm less likely to get my house broken into.
The Oculus Rift actually has that option
I heard, yeah.
where yeah, yeah, I saw it, I think it was Metal Jesus Rocks. I don't know if you ever heard of that YouTuber,
Mm-mm.
but he did like a review of it, and he kind of gave like what a simulation of what it would look like. It's sort of like a black and white like camera, and you could like see everything. I was like, oh man, that is pretty cool. That'd be a cool feature to
That would be cool. That way you don't
have.
bump into stuff either, because I know there have been a few times I
Yeah,
bumped into stuff. Um,
yeah, me too.
and the actually I did play about a year ago when I went to what was that, PAX West. I did do a
Hmm.
VR. It wasn't PSVR. I think it was like Oculus at the time. But I'll say I like the PlayStation VR set, but the Oculus, that one, it looked a lot better, and it was really cool. It was a cool little experience. Um,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, PlayStation will, reconsider this and continue to support the VR because definitely, I like to see, like you said, what the next generation has, and
Hmm.
um, it's something that uh, like I said, I have friends that come over that really don't play games, but as soon as I put them, as soon as I put the VR headset on them, they definitely get into it. It's a because it's a totally different thing. You don't have to be a gamer to appreciate being in these crazy worlds.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a damn shame, and I
Mhm.
hope that they, like you said, they reconsider. And who knows, maybe they're, like I said, hopefully it's just a part of them trying to phase out this version, and
Mm.
maybe in like 2 years they'll announce a brand new PS5 VR version, which would be pretty
Hopefully,
cool.
but by that time I might
Doesn't sound like it, but yeah,
yeah, I might already have
it'd be pretty cool.
the Xbox by that point. But hey, let's see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so on to our second topic. And our second topic is pretty much what everybody has been talking about at this point, and that is the fact that the Xbox Series X and the PS5 have been released, and there are reviews out there for both of these. Jose, have you read any of the reviews for the PSVR and Xbox?
I have not. I've watched a couple videos for the
Okay,
Xbox reviews. I haven't seen anything for the PS5 yet, but I
okay.
have seen a couple videos for the Xbox. Yeah.
I guess I'll go over a quick summary. These are the reviews from IGN, so I'm going to use the IGN reviews. They've got two of them, and then I want to talk to you about what you think about reviewing these systems. Okay, so let me give
Mm.
real quick. I'm just going to give the summary, the verdict, and this is the PlayStation 5. It says, with the launch lineup dominated by games that are also available on PS4 and on the back of a generation punctuated with incrementally more powerful hardware revisions like the PS4 Pro, the PS5 doesn't quite land as a knockout punch yet, but it's definitely got the power and speed to be a real contender. Although the jury's out on the stamina of the tiny 667 gigabyte SSD, However, while the PS5's well considered UI and blisteringly quick loading times for PS5 games make it a pleasure to use, it's the DualSense controller that's proven to be the surprise haymaker I never saw coming. It truly leaves other controllers feeling primitive in comparison, and they give this an 8, which is great. This one was reviewed by Luke Riley. All right, and let me give you the other Xbox Series X review. Also,
Oh,
IGN, reviewed by Ryan McCaffrey. And what he says here, the verdict is we can only assume that the Xbox Series X will wow us with new and spectacular next gen games eventually, because there isn't much to judge it on right now. But in the meantime, no matter what current games you throw at it, your loading times will be drastically cut, your frame rates will be smoother, and your resolutions will be higher. This bold and minimalistically designed box is quiet, compact for both the power it packs, and especially how it compares to the PS5. Capable and loaded with convenience features like instantly resuming and cycle between any of your recently played games. Compared directly to the PS5, PlayStation 5 specs, it's flat out gives you more power for the same price. It's going to be a joy to see what developers actually do with it in the coming years. And they rate this also an 8, which is great. All
mm.
right, Jose. So with these, what do you think of the ratings? What do you think of the ratings they gave? What do you and what you've heard? What do you think about these boxes? And also, what do you think in general about rating these consoles? Should we give them a rating? Should we give them a review?
Yeah. No, I think that reviews should be a given. I remember back in the when the Xbox and GameCube came out,
Mhm.
right? I was a big EGM collector, Electronic Gaming Monthly Magazine
Mhm.
collector, and they all they did a review for both of them. They gave the specs and what they thought of the console and which one they thought would win, which one was better. So yeah, I think it's pretty good that they're actually doing that. I think in my opinion, um, everyone's already made up their mind.
Mhm.
It's kind of like politics, I guess. Everyone's made up their mind who they're voting
Oh,
for,
geez, yeah. Well, that's
or who they're or which console they're getting. They're gonna either get the PS5. Well, obviously it's either PS5 or Xbox. And yeah, I think I don't know what happened with Tony. Like I was so excited about the PS5, and up until like a month ago, I was like, you know what? I really don't care about the PS5 anymore. I think them coming out with a lot of their games on PS4 kind of like made it a mute point at this
Mhm.
time at this juncture, I guess, because I'm like, well, I could get Miles Morales now on PS4. I can't, it's not going to be 60 frames per second, but hey, I could still play it.
Mhm.
Or Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I'm going to be able to play that on my PS4, which I'm very happy with, and actually makes me not worry about picking up a PS5 just yet. I can wait for it to go on sale.
Mhm.
And now the thing that intrigues me is like, well, since all these games are coming out on PS4, you know, I'm gonna try actually on Tuesday to see if I could pick up an Xbox. I know it's a miracle; it's gonna take a miracle, but just the way I see it, I'm just gonna go everywhere and try and see if they have one because a lot of people might have pre-ordered a console, but that
Okay.
doesn't mean they have the money now. Well, I don't know. Did you have to like pay it all to pre-order, or do you have to
No,
put like
no, I
a
don't
partial
think they
payment?
don't take your money out until you pick it up or until they
See,
deliver
a
it.
lot of people,
Mm.
I mean, sadly, you know, I don't want to seem like I'm greedy or anything like that, but or don't care. But a lot of people since may have lost their job,
Mhm.
due to COVID or whatever, and now they don't have the money to buy the PS5 or need the money for something else or the Xbox or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna try and see if I could sneak in it and maybe try and scoop one up that someone wasn't able to, even though I know there's a long line of people
So
who.
you're actually gonna try to buy an Xbox, a Series X, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna
Wow.
see what happens. If I fail on Tuesday, then on Thursday I'm gonna try and get a PS5.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
All
starting
this, like if we go back a few of our episodes, there was a lot of
to.
Xbox hate you were shouting out there. Those
I it
there was
was. I
there were
don't
some
know.
statements I'd like to quote. I'll have to go back and find those. The hate for the Xbox.
It's starting to grow on me. I don't know what it was or what it's been. Like I said, I think I'm starting to get just really turned off by PlayStation, where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pick a damn Xbox now.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm gonna try and see what happens. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna meet. I'm starting to get launch fever. That's what it is. I want one of them. Damn it. And I haven't had launch fever probably since like PS3 days. When people were camping out like
Hmm.
2 months in advance to try and get one. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Robert? What, are you down with the console ratings or
Um, not in this generation, no.
yeah,
Um, there's a few issues I have with the ratings. One, they keep talking about they're like, oh, all these are going to be faster load times. Well, of course they're faster right now. We talked about this last time. These games
yeah,
can be played on previous generations. You're going to expect there to be fast load times.
yeah.
Now the question is, a year down the line when they actually start making games specifically for the Xbox or the PlayStation, are those load times going to be comparable to what we have now?
Mm,
You know,
that's a good point.
if it's again, if you buy a brand new computer and you put an old game on there, and if I'm like, oh, look at this, it runs so quickly on this new computer. It's like, yeah, no, I mean, it's gonna run, it's gonna run faster. Um, so all these ratings, and also the other part is they're rating these on without any without seeing what it can do for the next generation. You like you said, you have Miles Morales and you have all these games, but they're still um, old generation games. You're rating them on just the way the console looks and not so much how it plays. It'd be one thing if, again, for example, the when you had Mario 64, when the Nintendo
Hmm.
64 came out, you could rate that on those games that suddenly came out that look totally different. Um, Even the Switch, I could see how you could rate that because that whole console was totally different than what you had seen beforehand. The
Yeah,
games, the way you played it, the games, everything. It was something new and different. This is just this is a better version of what came before it. It's not really changing the game. And
yeah.
if you expect it to be better, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to expect it to be better with load times. You expect it to be better with graphics, but really, what is it adding on there? Now, I know the PS5 has a controller with the haptic feedback or whatever, which
Hmm.
I think that'd be something to take into consideration. To say like this is a benefit you get uh, if you buy the PS5 as opposed to the Xbox. Um, but again, by rating it, I don't know. I think it'd be one thing to say this is what when we played it. This is what we saw. This is good things that we liked about it, the bad things. But giving it a rating, it's not like a movie. It's this is not yet a finished product because we don't know
Yeah.
right now. We don't know what it can do. You know,
You brought
and
up a good point. When the Switch came out, it's something totally new, right? It
mhm,
wasn't like a upgraded Wii U, which was an upgrade to the Wii.
mhm,
It was something fresh and brand new, something exciting. You brought up Mario 64. When you saw that, you were like, wow, this is something new, something fresh, something exciting,
mhm,
And you're right. Both of these consoles, none of them has other than the box. It's nothing new. It's nothing exciting. The haptic control. Do you really want to spend like $500 for a control?
mhm.
Are you spending that much money, just to get an upgraded control? Yeah, there's really nothing that wows you this generation. Like I want to say maybe that what's the only exclusive that everyone's really talking about, and that's Demon Souls 3, right? or Demon
Yeah,
Souls or
but
whatever.
that's a remake.
It's a remake. Xbox has nothing. They have absolutely nothing. All their games are going to be you could get either on this generation or you could get on PS5. There's nothing that, at least as far as I know, that is an exclusive to the Xbox. And yeah, it's just it's to be continued. You're right. They should have just gave it that rating. Like
Yeah,
what, to be determined, because right now there's really nothing other than Demon Souls.
I
And
ab Jose, I absolutely 100% agree. I think what they should do is well, they've already given it a rating.
yeah.
Maybe come back a year later and say this is what we think of this system now that these games are out. Because
Hmm.
what I don't like a lot about a lot of the and I don't blame the reviewers because it happens to everybody. Um, but it's something you always have to look out for, and that's I think it's called recency bias. That
Hmm.
when you get something that's brand new, like a game, you're just like, oh man, this is the best game I've ever played. But go back, look at it a year later, and you'll be like, you know what, it really wasn't that great. Or like if you see a
Yeah.
movie and you come out of the movie saying, yeah, I can't believe this was the greatest movie I've ever seen. At
Hmm.
that time, yes, you enjoyed it, but there's a lot of hype around that movie. So, you come out thinking
Yeah.
it's the greatest thing when at the end of the day, you're just like, oh, well, it was okay. A perfect example would be like the newest Star Wars, not the newest one, the
Hmm.
Star Wars.
The
Was it the Force
new
Unleashed?
trilogy,
Yeah,
The Force Awakens.
the Force, is that the first one of the new trilogy? All right.
Yes.
Well, when that came out, everybody was all hype, and there's still people that like it, but
Yeah.
as it slowly died out, the hype, people started to say, oh yeah, you know what? It's just a remake of the original, just with different
Hmm.
characters. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. And I think right now there's that recency bias with the PS4 or PS5 and Xbox where the reviewers are hyping it up and saying, oh, the load times are great. This is so great. This is great. But it might just be the hype. I think they have to come back a year later and say, all right, after playing the let's use PlayStation 4 for example. After a year playing the PlayStation 4, this is the differences that we've seen. Yes, the load times are still better, and or no, they're not. And also, how often do you use the haptic feedback on the controller? One out of every
Yeah.
10 games uses it. Well, all right, it's great that it's on here, but nobody's really using this. You know, um, yeah, I think they have to come back a year later and review it when there's actually something to uh,
To talk about.
yeah, well, there's something to talk about.
I'm going to give you my reasons why I'm willing to shell down the money to get either or, right? And believe it or not, it has nothing to do with new generation for me.
Mhm.
If I buy the Xbox, the new version or the new Xbox Series X or whatever, I'm going to buy it for two reasons: to play my old games with higher frame rates.
Mhm.
I really don't care about the load times. It's not that of a big issue with me. I just care more about how they look.
Mhm.
I'm getting it for that reason and for the 4K Blu-ray player.
Gotcha.
Same with the PS5. I'm not buying it for Demon Souls. If I buy it, it's going to be to play all my old games with higher frame rates, and for for the 4K player. It has nothing to do with the haptic controller or Demon Souls. Maybe down the line, I'll be more excited to play more games or the newer games that are specifically made for it. Then hey, that's a different story. But yeah, right now those are the only two reasons that I'm going to get either one of the systems if I can
You know,
get it.
the other thing I'm a little disappointed in is also the fact that the hard drive is so small. I think it's like a 67 um, gigabyte SSD drive. I know SSDs are more expensive because what is this? They're static state drive. Is that what it's called? Static state drive, where it
Hmm.
doesn't. It's just it doesn't spin. It's just a like a USB drive. Um, and so yeah, I mean it's barely it's little over half a terabyte, which with these games being bigger and bigger, I don't
Yeah.
And then I read somewhere that you can attach an external drive like I have on my PS4, but it won't. You can't save PS5 games on there. You can only save PS4 games on there.
Hmm.
So it's a little weird on that.
Yeah.
But we'll, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I guess you'll be if you can get if you're able to buy the Xbox or PS5, you can be our liaison to tell us what's going on with that.
Yeah. I'll do an unboxing live on our show.
That'd be cool. Speaking of which, if you do get one, are you planning on doing? If you get the Xbox, are you planning on getting an
Mhm.
Xbox Live?
Probably not.
Oh, okay. 'Cause, you get
Not.
you
No.
get all those games for like $15 a month.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I mean, if I did get it, it wouldn't be right away.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I just want to play my older games.
The old ones.
Not even like my 360 games. Like I want to play like a lot of my Xbox games, original Xbox games, and um,
If
that
you
I have
do,
that are backwards compatible.
if you do get that, tell me what that's like because
Okay.
I have a ton of Xbox games that I think I'd like to also see then what it looks like if it's backwards compatible. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember back in the day,
Hmm.
I went. Let's just say it's a disgusting amount of Xbox games that I got. Like how GameStop used to sell them for like buy two get one free or whatever. I
Oh
just went
yeah.
nuts, man. I used to have to go to different GameStop so they wouldn't know me at the same one. Kind of embarrassing.
Oh man, I know I've been there before. Believe me. When I'm like, oh man, I don't want to go back in here. I'll go to another one. I'll
um,
drive 5 miles to go to the next one.
all right, so I guess we'll see what these reviews mean in the next over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, you'll be able to get
Yeah.
one. You can give your opinion about what you think of the new Xbox or PlayStation. But
Hmm.
until then, let's go to our next topic. And like I said, this this week's been a little bit slower with some of the news, mainly because there's a lot of new, everything's coming out. This is the calm before the storm, to say.
Yeah.
Um, so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna talk about now that the old generation is dying and we're gonna start a new generation. I thought a good topic would be for us to talk about what we would classify as our three favorite games with this past generation. And I want to include I know you and I don't have the Xbox, but if you've played any Xbox, let's include Xbox games.
Hmm.
Place Xbox, what is it? Is it Xbox One? Is that what it's called? The last one?
Yep. Xbox
Xbox
One.
One,
Hmm.
PlayStation 4, and then also the Switch. So now I don't want you, Jose, to give me what you think the best games are. We could talk about that some other time for this past generation. I want your favorite games of this past generation, your top three.
My top three. Well, it's pretty easy because I don't have an Xbox and I don't have a Switch.
Okay.
So it comes down to the PlayStation 4. And again, it's a pretty easy list. um, and do you want them in chronological order or just the my top three games period?
Give me your however you want to get it to me. Let's just do
All right.
your top three. Period. What are your top three?
All right. My top three are for VR, Astrobot.
Hmm?
I love that game. That game, like I said, when I put it on, it makes me smile. And that to me had that Super Mario 64 feeling to it. The first time I played it, I was like, man, this is like, you know, it was amazing to me. It was just something that I didn't think I would feel or experience again in a video game. And it was just from the very beginning. I don't know if you remember where you have to place your control onto it's kind of like the uh, what is it, sort of like the illusion of your
Yeah.
PlayStation controller. You have to
Hmm.
place it on top of it, and then it starts rumbling.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh man, this is crazy, man. And yeah, like I said, just everything about that game to me, I loved it. The music was great. I remember walking to work when we were working well, when I was still a paralegal. I would walk to court and just listen to the soundtrack on YouTube, and I was like, man, it had a great soundtrack. The graphics were great. Just a fun game. My next game, another one that I really enjoyed. This is one of the games when I was like, all right, so this is what next gen could look like, and that's Hellblade. I've talked about that
Oh
game a
yeah,
lot too.
yeah. Okay.
And Hellblade it's a short game. I don't remember how short it is at the top of my head, but I beat it rather quickly, and it was just another game that just looked amazing. I can only imagine what it must look like with the PS4 Pro.
Hmm.
I was just playing it on my regular PS4 Slim, and I was just like totally blown away by how great it looked, and the ending to me was just something that really moved me, and I was like, man, this is a great game. And my number one is, and what I try to do with, because believe me, it has a lot of PlayStation 4 has a lot of great games, but I try to limit them to new experiences. I didn't
Hmm.
want to how shall I say it? I didn't want to pick games that um like Uncharted, right? You could play Uncharted 2 on PlayStation 3,
Hmm.
and I try to keep it to new games to the last gen.
Okay.
And my number one is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Hmm.
That game. That was the first game that I picked up with my PlayStation 4 Slim, and yeah, I didn't. I played it and I thought it was great, and then I don't know what happened. I was playing other games as well because it was a brand new console, so I had stopped playing it for a while, and I went back into it, and I was like, you know what, this is a great game. It's just like I said, to me, it has sort of like a Zelda feel where roaming around and fighting the like the dinosaur mechs, shall we say, robots, and had a great story, great graphics. The soundtrack was non-existent. It was more like an ambient
Hmm.
type style of soundtrack, so it was nothing major. But that game, it really, like, this one, I was like, you know what, this is what next gen's all about to me, and it was a whole new franchise. And yeah, I thought those are my top three.
Yeah, yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I said, I've got to start playing that one, and I've heard nothing but good things about that. It just got, I think that came out literally the same month, or right, literally the month before, or a few weeks before the Breath of the Wild came out. So it kind of
Mm,
stole its thunder. But
yeah,
yeah, as far as like, I mean, I'm happy they're making a new one for the PS5, and we'll see. What comes
PS4
of that.
too.
Oh, is it coming out for the PS4 too? The new one?
Yeah, that's why I
Oh,
was like,
geez.
man, I was like, I'm not picking one up anytime soon now.
Yeah, there's no need to.
Hmm.
um, yeah, those are some strong games. I know I I've only played one of the games that you mentioned, and that's Astrobot, and
Hmm.
that is, like you said, that's an experience. That is one of those. It is comparable again to playing Mario 64 for the first time, where
Yeah.
now you actually see, like, if you were to substitute Mario for Astrobot, I could totally see that, because now instead of,
Hmm.
you had, at one point you had Mario, as like the 2D character, then he became that 3D character, and now all of a sudden when you're immersed in that, it's a whole, I know it's still 3D, but it's like a whole different experience. You're um and it's it was, you had that, like, I guess you call it God mode, where you're kind of watching, looking down on the guy, and you're in the little guy on Astrobot, and you're guiding him around. And until you actually experience it, it's you just don't know what it's like. You could look around, look around the corner, look around a rock to see if there's like a little hidden guy in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely uh, a memorable experience of the last generation.
Yeah, just I remember there was just one level. I don't know if you recall where you're at the beach and it literally felt like it was hot. Like I was like, because the sun was beaming, and I was
uh,
like, oh man, this is crazy. And then when you like attach yourself to it's kind of like some kind of a machine, right? And then it starts taking you under the water,
that was
under the
awesome.
otion.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh man, this is amazing, man. It was just like,
I
yeah, I'll
got
never
so
forget
freaked
that.
out I started to hold my breath because I was just like, because I'm like it. You start to go underwater, you're like, oh, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to drown, but
Hmm.
because it's so it was it's an experience. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. What
Um,
about yours, Robert?
so I've got all right. My number three was difficult to figure out, but my number three, I guess, was Spider-Man. Was my number
Oh.
three one. That game, I think once I started to play it, you kept telling me to play it. You're like, you got to play Spider-Man, got to play Spider-Man. I owned it for a while. I finally decided to download it and install it. And I think over the span of that was my COVID game, one of my COVID games.
Hmm.
And over the span of maybe it was like a week, 2 weeks, I beat the whole game. I couldn't stop playing it. I did all the side missions. The story was good. It wasn't like the best story, but it was actually it was a good story. And the characters were fleshed out. Graphics were great. It felt like, when you were traversing around New York, it everything went smoothly. The fighting was reminding me a lot of the old Batman games.
Hmm.
So overall, it was a great experience and it was fun. It wasn't anything that bogged me down. It wasn't like a shooter. I wasn't getting angry. It was just a fun experience. It wasn't difficult. And I think it's a game that I would definitely recommend to pretty much anybody, even if you're like a kid.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being anything where it gets a little, where it gets too violent or it gets too gory. Everything's, it's just a fun Spider-Man game. And it's what I want. It's what I want in a Spider-Man. So that's my number three. And okay, I also do have to say I do own a Switch. And before anybody gets mad that I didn't mark Breath of the Wild, again, I'm only recently starting to get into Breath of the Wild. Um, but my number two game is no surprise. That would be Dead by Daylight. That game came out this year or this last generation, and I remember thinking, I'm like, I'll try this game. Like it looks like I when I first heard about it, I'm like, I want to play this game. It looks like it's fun. I got
Mhm.
disgustingly addicted to it. I play it all the time, and that one I've said enough about this game, but it's a glorified game of hide and seek. It's a ton of fun. That game does get me mad. That game, I play that and I get aggravated. I've never thrown a controller because they're too expensive, but I do say some words that I'm not proud of when I play that game. But it's been fun. It's buggy. I don't recommend it for everybody. If you play anybody that plays the game, I would say expect it to be buggy, expect to get mad, expect there to be players who are kind of jerks. But in between those bad times, you can have a lot of fun. And I've actually met a good buddy of mine now, Pablo, and he does his streaming, and it's through Dead by Daylight. We actually play every now and then on Survive with Friends. So it's been a good experience, that one. And my number one for this last generation, and this was controversial, but it's the
Oh.
Last of Us Part Two.
Oh.
Yeah, there was
Curveball.
yeah, there was a lot of hate for The Last of Us Part Two. I think that hate is uncalled for. I think a lot of those people are, I mean, I don't know how to say it. With all due respect, I don't think they understand like what the. All right. So, Jose, have you ever heard of an author called Cormac McCarthy?
No.
All right. Have you ever heard of the movie or the book called The Road?
Yes.
All right. Have
Loved
you
it.
ever
I loved the movie.
Okay. And you've heard of No Country for Old Men?
Yep.
All right. So those both were written by Cormac McCarthy.
Okay.
And The Road, if you know, that's a lot like the original Last of Us. You played the original Last of Us?
Yep.
Okay.
Great game.
Okay. So that game, the Road is a lot like that. well, let me take that back. The Last of Us is a lot like The Road. They take a lot of, that story about, the boy and his son. I'm sorry, the boy and
Hmm.
his father just going across, trying to find hope in a lost, in a world that's just, that's been lost. And Cormac McCarthy wrote another book called Blood Meridian. There's no movie on this one, um,
Hmm.
but it is a very bleak story. It is any hope that you expect there to be in the story gets just washed out. Even people, it's a story about that. Even if you think you've found salvation, if you decide now that you've changed your ways, it's going to come back and get you. It's always going to come back and get you. And it is it's a gruesome book. It is not for everybody to read, but it is a story that, like, it's considered one of the best books of the 21st century. Um, and
Hmm.
for me, The Last of Us 2, the original Last of Us took a lot from Cormac McCarthy's The Road. I believe that when they did The Last of Us 2, they actually were not motivated, but they were influenced to a certain
Inspired.
extent. Yeah, inspired by Blood Meridian.
Hmm.
And that all the hate that people get, they don't realize that if you were to read Blood Meridian and and then you play The Last of Us, you'll say like, all right, I see what they're trying to get at. There is, the sins of your past will come back to haunt you, no matter how saved you think you are. They will come back to haunt you, and that and people got so mad. And I don't want, to whoever's listening to this, I don't want to ruin the twist of the game, but when I hear people complain about the game and they're like, well, this is not the way this game should have been. I was expecting this, I was expecting that. Well, at the end of the day, that's a good story, a good book is not what you expect. It's what
Yeah.
you least expect. And then you have to work with that. You have to analyze that and say, what did um what was the storyteller trying to say? And I'll give you an example. Like in Blood Meridian, since I highly doubt any of our listeners, would ever read this book. And if they do, I do apologize if I'm going to ruin it for you. But the ending of the book is about this kid who joins who joins a bunch of cowboys that actually this was true what these people did. They would go into Mexico and they would go into South America, and they were getting paid good money to kill and scalp in Native Americans. Specifically, I think it was the Crow. So they would go
Hmm.
there, scalp them, and they would, and for each scalp they got, they would get paid by the government. And this was actually something that happened back in like the late 1800s, so,
Oh
or
wow.
early 1900s. So that's the premise. And then the one of the characters, he's called a kid. He's the one that's the main character. And as the story goes on, you realize that he's kind of, decides he doesn't want to do that. And then he kind of, at the end, he decides he's just going to, there's like a huge battle, and which is again all based on real. The characters are fake, but it's all based on reality. And the kid decides just to escape the battle, and he's going to start life anew. Like 20 years go by. It literally cuts off that the battle ends, and then it's the ending, and the ending's 20 years later. And one of the characters that he's considered to be a like a ghostly figure. They call him oh, what is his name? I forgot his name now, but he's just this creepy character in the book. And
Hmm.
like he's supposed to be symbolic of the devil, because he's the entire time he's with this group, and this guy just does god awful things. I mean, trust me, Jose, there's I don't want to describe it because it's really bad. Again, as bad as it sounds, it's still a work of art, this book. um
Sounds like a great book.
it's unbelievable. And then by the very end, the kid who finally decided to give up everything, and he's out at a bar just kind of living a normal life, no longer scalping native crows. Also, oh, let me go into this. What made it even worse is because, remember, they were getting paid for every scalp they had, so they just said they weren't even at some point not even killing crows. They were killing any Native American. They were killing, I believe it was Mexicans. You're just killing
Hmm.
everybody just so they can get paid. Because remember, they were
Damn.
getting paid for each scalp.
Right, right, right.
And again, this is based on true events that actually happened. And like I said, at the very end, everything comes back to haunt him. He gets found by the devil character, and and then some things that aren't described. It's up to your imagination what happens to him. But at the end of the day, it's the idea that you're never going to escape, no matter how good you think you are, no matter how much you think you're going to change. It's more than just karma. It's just that life or just something comes back to haunt you. And for me, that was The Last of Us 2. The Last of Us 2 used that idea, and when people got mad about it, it I just thought, I'm like, look, at the end of the day, this is what happens in this game, and I know it's a game, but
Hmm.
it's more inclined to what happens in real life. Real life, even you could be a very good person and still an awful thing may happen to you. And it's not your
Yeah,
fault. And you may have changed. You may have decided that I'm going to be a good person, but still things happen. And that's not fair. But at the end of the day, that is that's life.
that's life.
And I think the writers Naughty Dog did an unbelievably great job with the story. And again, when people complain about this game, because there are so many complaints, it actually aggravates me because I just don't think they understand. They it's not that they don't understand. They just don't.
I
I
think they had a preconceived idea or notion of what the game was going to be. It's sort of like let's say you're playing Mario, right?
Mhm.
And you get to the end of the stage and it says the princess is in another castle, and they go to part two, right? They buy part two,
Mhm.
thinking it's going to be the same thing, and then it's something else, and then they're like, hey, well, what's going on? It's not like the original or whatever. I thought it was going to be like this, and
Mhm.
you brought up a good point. It's about changing it up.
Mhm.
Change is good. It's a different. It's not part one. It's not The Last of Us.
Yeah.
It's Last of Us Part Two. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different story. It's not Last of Us continuation. It's yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I'm very shocked that that's your number one. I was
Yeah.
not expecting it at all. I thought for sure you're probably gonna say Skyrim.
No, no, I'm telling you, when I played that, when I finished that game, I was sick to my stomach. I was just like, wow, I just can't believe I just played this. This is
Mhm.
unbelievable. And it wasn't a game that I played. I was just like, oh, this is a happy game. It's the opposite spectrum of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Um, the game is brutal. It is like it made me think for the next week about what I played. And look, I guess a good example is like if you're watching the movie The Road, and if at the end you think that that's like if I watch the movie The Road, and at the end I get angry because I'm like, well, why didn't that father and son both live and live happy lives ever for the rest of their lives? I did not like this ending.
Mhm.
Well, I'm sorry. This is that if Cormac McCarthy, he's not going to give you that happy ending. At the end, yeah, that dad's going to die. And you know what? That son, that the one son that, that he was trying to save, you don't know if he ended up with an actually good family. You don't know if he's going to survive. It just they leave it open. It's like, well, they found somebody who's potentially
Yeah.
can be a good person, but you don't know. And it's one of those things that a good story doesn't make you happy at the end. It doesn't satisfy what you expect. A good story will can sometimes, get you angry because it's not what you wanted, but that's good storytelling, man. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's the unexpected good storytelling.
Yeah. That's a game that's definitely it came out this year. It's hard to believe. It feels
Hmm.
like it came out like years ago.
I know.
Last
I
of Us
think
Part Two.
it literally, I think, came out like 4 or 5 months ago. It didn't come out that long.
Yeah. No, it's so weird. That game like just completely like disappeared. Like
Hmm.
it was like so hyped, and boom. It's like that's it. You never heard about it again. It like got brushed under the table. Like Sony doesn't push it or promote it or anything like that. And
Yeah, I'm
it's like
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of reviews on that game, and when it first came out, and I'd say they're about 50-50.
Mhm.
Some loved it, some hated it. Some of my favorite YouTubers loved it, and some of my favorite YouTubers hated it. And it's a very divisive game, and but it's just so weird because everyone was so excited for that game, and then it just like I said, it just doesn't even feel like it ever came out.
Man, and I'm telling you, like the people that hate it, and I don't want
Mhm.
to discredit them in any way. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but
Yeah,
I would honestly want them to. I would want to sit them down and say, like, look, here's some books. I want you to read these books, and and then come back and tell me if you still hate The Last of Us. They'll probably still come back and say they hate it, but
hmm,
because nobody wants to say they're wrong. But
yeah,
it's like you said, they went in that with that that preconceived notion that this is what I'm expecting out of this game. Um,
hmm,
when it's not, that's not what you get, and you don't. At the end of the day, you don't deserve that either. This is their creation. This is their story, and simply because it says it's part two doesn't mean it has to be exactly like the first one. You know,
yeah,
it's different, and I don't know. At the end of the day, all a lot of great art doesn't always have a. I mean, look at the Great Gatsby. Have you ever read that?
no.
Okay.
Just a FYI to the audience, I'm not much of a reader, unless it's like I think I've read one graphic novel like in the past 10 years.
Well, that's why it's not called Booker's Keepers. It's called Geekers
Yeah.
Creepers. um,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. My brothers, they're always getting me to read, and I'm like, you know what? You guys play games. How about that? You guys don't play games. Play some games.
but like the Great Gatsby, that one, at the end, Gatsby doesn't end up with Daisy. That's not the end of the story. It's like good books don't have these happy endings, and some games don't need to have a happy ending, and also they don't need to have some kind of sappy ending where it's all cheesy, some
Yeah.
cheesy sappy ending. No, it can be brutal, and this is what this was. It was a brutal game. It made you think, and it God, man, it's like I honestly want to go back and play it again.
Mhm.
I just I think I'm gonna wait a little bit to play that one. I wish I remember when I got it. I was gonna, if I had a physical copy, I would have let you borrow it, but I downloaded it because I wanted to play it right away. I bought it digital. Um, but man, is that just like, yeah, number one game in my opinion this generation, because like I said, one of the few games that I actually felt something really, like in the pit of my stomach after I got done playing that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one on my list that I was waiting for a sale, a pickup on.
Mm,
Again, I hardly buy games brand new, anyways. But there's just one YouTuber who's one of my favorites. He's around our age,
mm,
and he was raving about it, and I was like, you know what, I respect his opinion, and he's like like he tells everyone to pick it up and play it. Don't listen to reviews. Just go in there. I'm like, I respect his opinion. I'm gonna give it a shot, and yeah, like I said, I'll see if I could pick it up on sale. Right now, there's other games for me
mm.
that I would prefer to play other than because I hear great things about Ghost of Tsushima as
Mhm.
well, and I'd like to give that a try. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I've been trying to play that game for like 2 years. It just does not go on sale. That game,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's like, man, like the lowest I've seen is like $40, and to me, that's still like too high in my book.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll wait and see if I could pick it up on sale and give it a whirl.
Yeah. There's one game I'm surprised neither of us said. Well, I'm not surprised. Let me take that back.
Hmm.
But that's God of War. Like everybody, I think a lot of people would say like that's their game for this gen or one of their top games. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I still got to finish that game. I don't like it's that game is one of those that on paper it's like I'd be like I definitely want to play this game, and I'm gonna be addicted to it. Like God of War 3, I love that game, man. That game was just a ton of fun.
yeah.
But
God of War 3 is great, and God of War, new God of War. what happened with me with that game is that I had, like I mentioned earlier, I picked up um, Horizon Zero Dawn, which is kind of like in that
Mhm.
Norse mythology thing, right? Same with Hellblade, same kind of mythology. And when I picked up God of War, to me it felt too much of the same.
Mhm.
I was like, this is my third game in that type of universe, and I'm like, I was kind of burned out on the Norse mythology, and I played it again. I think I played it last year. I don't remember. And I finally played it all, and I beat it, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was a great game but I don't know. It's a good game, but to me, I was more wowed by God of War 3. Like you
Mhm.
said, that was a fun game. It was an exciting game, and that to me was just like I loved it. I picked it up on a PS3, and I have it on a PS4, the remastered version, which shows how much I like that game. And but I'm with you with Spider-Man as well. I was gonna put it in my top three, but like I said, I was like, you know what, I want to try. Although it's a new take on Spider-Man, there's been other Spider-Man games before, like the
Mhm.
Activision games and all that. And I was like, but Spider-Man was a damn good game as well, man. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it, the story and everything, and tons of great games actually.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus was one. That's one of my favorite games. That's probably my number one favorite game of all time. Shadow of the Colossus. I've had that on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and now this version. But I've had a lot of fun. I've had a
Mhm.
lot of fun with this generation.
Yeah, I have, and I guess I didn't want to take the cheap way out, but instead of like Spider-Man, if I would have just said just PSVR in general, because
Hmm.
like you're saying, that was an experience that in and of itself. I can't pick one game that I would say would be better than Spider-Man. I know for you it was Astrobot, but I would say like for me, a lot of games I played on PSVR, for me, it reminds me that'll be this last generation. I guess PSVR will be what reminds me of this generation. Will be
Yeah.
for the first time being immersed in a game to that point. That's definitely going to be something that um that kind of like I don't know when I played for the TurboGrafx, that TurboGrafx generation. It's always going to be Splatterhouse.
Hmm.
You know, for this generation, it's going to be VR is going to be a big
VR.
thing. Um,
Yeah,
so
so many great VR games as well, man.
mhm,
It's like, oh my god. So it was to me, it's one of my favorite generations in a long time.
yeah, it's a
And
sad thing, that
mm,
if PlayStation doesn't want to support that or Sony doesn't want to support that, but it while it lasted, it was fun. I was able
yeah,
to
yeah.
play the games, and it is what it is. You can't. They stopped supporting PS Vita, and like I mentioned, they're on the store itself. They don't even have their little VR section there anymore. So,
Mm-mm. Wow.
but with that said, that's our top three. If anyone listening out there, if you guys want to give us uh, your top three, your shout out of top threes, or for this last generation, or if you absolutely disagree with our picks, you can email us at geekerscreeperscast@gmail.com. Again, that's geekerscreeperscast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at Geekers Creepers. Um, and then in a minute, we're going to go to our creepy topic for the day. Yeah, is there anything else you have to say regarding these topics, Jose?
No, I thought they were pretty good topics. Very insightful. I think our audience got a little more insight as to what we're into,
Mhm.
and yeah, pretty good topics.
All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna take. Oh, also, if you want to email us with any other topics that you want us to talk about, we would greatly appreciate it. It makes it easier for us than having to figure out what we want to talk about each week. But all right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our creeper topic. Mother and daughter report sighting of red-eyed winged demon in Schiller Park, Illinois. Manuel Navarrete, of UFO Clearinghouse received a report recently from a woman who said that she and her mother witnessed a demon with red eyes and very large wings at around 9 p.m. on October 26th in Schiller Park, Illinois, a village on the outskirts of Chicago's metropolitan area. According to the initial report received by Navarrete, I had gone to the kitchen to make myself a cup of tea, and as I was filling the kettle with water, I heard my mom scream and then call out to me. I dropped what I was doing and ran to her and found her in her room with the lights off. She told me to keep the lights off and to come to the window and look out into the backyard. I looked and saw a large creature with red eyes and very large wings perched on the back fence. My mother was whispering, "Es un demonio," and started praying as we watched this thing. It was perched on the fence and it was looking side to side and kept slowly moving its wings. We looked at it for about a minute before it flapped its wings and flew off. The initial report came from a 32-year-old Hispanic woman who witnessed the creature alongside her 67-year-old mother. Navarrete said that he was able to speak with both witnesses the Wednesday following their sighting. He confirmed the approximate time of their sighting along with the details originally submitted in the report. The woman had been in the kitchen making herself tea when she heard her mother scream, prompting her to drop what she was doing and run towards her mother's bedroom. The witness indicated that her mother had fallen before and injured herself, and that is what she thought had just occurred, said Navarrete. Upon entering her mother's room, she found the lights off and her mother standing by the window, he continued. The mother told her to keep the lights off and to come to the window and look out into the backyard. The witness did as she asked, and upon reaching the window, saw what she described as a large humanoid creature perched upon the back fence. She described the creature as black with large jet black wings and human-like features. When I asked her to go into detail, she said that the creature looked like what she could only describe as a demon. The creature had human-like arms and legs, and its head looked almost human with bright red eyes. When I pressed for more details, she advised that it was dark and she was about 25 feet away from where it was perched. She described the creature as looking around and that it was slowly moving its outstretched wings back and forth. Navarrete added that the witnesses told him she had observed the entity for about a minute before it flapped its wings and flew up and out of sight, and that when asked if she had grabbed her phone to take a picture, she said her phone was in her room and she did not think of going and grabbing it, and that she was not going to leave her mother alone. The woman's mother was at first hesitant to speak with them, but Navarrete said she agreed after receiving assurances that I would not publish her name or her address. The older woman spoke only in Spanish, said Navarrete, and told him that she was getting ready for bed when she looked out the window and saw the creature perched on the back fence. She said she was scared and called out to her daughter to come and then started to pray. He explained the witness was convinced she was seeing a demon that had come to her house and prayed for protection. She described the creature's shape and posture as similar to the depiction of a demon being struck down by Saint Michael, except this one was solid black with red eyes. Navarrete said the woman went on to say that she was very uncomfortable with speaking about it for fear of the entity returning, and that she felt that this creature was on a mission, one that was evil in nature, but she would not expound any further. She did mention that there were people in the neighborhood that she knew practiced brujeria, and that this thing might have something to do with it, he added. Schiller Park borders O'Hare International Airport to the southeast, an area which has been the epicenter of recent winged humanoid sightings in the Lake Michigan Mothman investigation, with at least 10 sightings coming from the airport itself since August of 2019, and many more reported in the surrounding communities. Other witnesses in and around the same area have similarly reported feeling a sense of evil during their sightings, including a trucker who said he was standing outside of a cargo dock at O'Hare when he spotted a 7-foot-tall person with wings just outside a fence by the parking lot on November 26, 2019. A cargo company employee who said that he'd seen a red-eyed winged humanoid while driving near O'Hare on the night of December 6, 2019, and 2 women who said they encountered a huge owl with glowing red eyes that looked like they belonged to the devil himself near a parking lot at O'Hare on June 30th, 2020. This report constitutes the latest news in a string of Mothman sightings, from within a few hundred miles radius surrounding Lake Michigan, including every state bordering the Great Lakes. These sightings ostensibly began in the spring of 2017, but more historical accounts are being reported as more people become aware of the phenomenon. They generally take place in the evening or at night, often in or near a park or natural and around water. Witnesses consistently describe a large gray or black bat or bird-like creature, although in a small number of cases the creature was described as insect-like, sometimes with glowing or reflective red, yellow, green, or orange eyes, and humanoid features such as arms, legs are often reported. So that's the end of that article. We'll be right back and talk about what we believe they saw and what is going on in the O'Hare Schiller Park area. Okay, and we're back. Jose, so we've had previous we had a one 2 weeks ago we talked about the Mothman, and we came to the conclusion it's the owl. An owl. Are we agreeing that this is maybe the same thing? Or what do you think?
No, that's what I thought as well too. I was like, I think it might be an owl again. Um, you know, obviously, I don't know what she saw. It could have been a demon. I'm gonna say it probably wasn't. She is an elder woman, an elderly woman who probably has. I wouldn't say her vision is probably top notch. I know my mom is elderly. Her vision, both my parents, they have problems with their vision. Um, it was dark. It was, as we talked about it last time, owls are big, big birds. With outstretched wings. With what do we say their wingspan? It could be like 6 feet or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think that's what you mentioned last time.
And as far as the eyes go, it reminds me of I have a cat. And when you flash, like a light in your cat's eyes at night, it kind of has like a weird reflection to it. So that might be something that she might have seen. It might have been just a weird reflection on an owl's eyes. Because owls have big eyes as well. They have huge eyes, huge wings, and it's just something that you're not expecting to see. Um, Honestly, I hope I never see an owl because I think I would be spooked as well. I'd be pretty scared. Like, oh man, it's a freaking owl! I'm out of here, man.
Yeah. So the reason I brought this one up this time, I know last time we spoke about it and we're like, yeah, it's got to be an owl, just like it was last time. The only thing is, I don't know if you know, like regarding the Mothman, the the urban legend is that if there are multiple sightings, that means that something bad is about to happen.
Mm.
And I'm the skeptic. I'm always a skeptic. I don't most of the stuff I don't think exists. And this one, it's probably just an owl. But again, the reason I brought this up is because look, this is all happening near O'Hare. If there's
Yeah,
one place where if you believe in the Mothman, and if you believe that it's an omen of bad things to come, the one place you don't want to see it is by a big airport, you know.
yeah.
Um, and like as of 2 weeks ago, there was that one sighting literally at O'Hare. This is Schiller Park, which is Schiller Park right next to O'Hare.
That's what I was gonna check.
Yeah. I,
Let's take a look. Let's take a look in real time. Where is
okay.
Schiller Park? Schiller Park is. Oops.
I mean,
Schiller Park, Illinois. It is right next to O'Hare, actually.
all right. So, all right, maybe it's literally just the fact that there's like an owl, like a bunch of owls that are popping up in O'Hare and scaring people, at the end of the day. Um, but again, according to urban legend, the Mothman is supposed to be a bad omen, that something bad is about to come. You have yet, I remember I mentioned this last time, you didn't see the Mothman movie, did you? The Mothman Prophecies?
No.
All right. I'm telling you, you got to check it out, Jose. It's on Amazon. You'll like it. But
Okay.
uh, according to the, in that one, what happened was they saw the Mothman over and over and over again, all these people, and it all culminated with the bridge collapsing and killing, I think, like 30 something people.
Oh wow.
After that, they stopped seeing the Mothman. Again, this is probably just an owl, but I mean, look, I am a skeptic, but it is I there's part of it, it's like one of those things that like there's that like 0.001%. I'm like, look, if this is for real, if people are actually seeing this thing, then I don't want something bad to happen out there at O'Hare, especially,
Yeah.
you know, with the planes and, whatever might happen. It's just, you got all these people who are seeing it, and,
Hmm.
they always, it does sound like it's just an owl that they're seeing. I guess there's just a lot of owls out in, by the O'Hare area in Schiller Park, a lot of creepy looking owls, if that.
Well, I was just checking again the map, and there is actually it's called Schiller Woods.
Okay.
So there's I guess kind of like a
Schiller Woods. That sounds like a creepy place to hang out.
Schiller Woods. So it's some kind of like a forest preserve right next to Schiller Park, which is almost
All right.
a hop, skip, and a jump from O'Hare. The only thing now I'm starting to think um, about the whole thing about it being an owl,
Mhm.
and I want to say it could be an owl, but at the same time, I'm like, I live in Northwest Indiana, right, and we have a lot of wooded areas as well. I have yet to see an owl here. I've seen deer,
I've seen deer.
like I've ridden my bike and like I was like a few feet away from from deer. I've seen possums, I've seen skunks,
Mm-hmm.
all kind of weird animals, right? But I haven't seen an owl. I've seen a. You're not gonna believe this. I actually saw a hawk the other day
Yeah.
at my neighbor's yard eating something. I don't know if it was a squirrel or another bird. It was. I was like, I thought it was injured at first. I was like, oh man. I was like, what's that hawk doing here in my neighbor's yard? And I saw. I was like, oh, he's having lunch.
Yeah.
you know.
But,
But
like out
I
here, I agree. I also have seen deer. I've seen like
yeah,
possums, skunks, raccoons, everything. Late at
raccoons.
night,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like, don't get me wrong, I'll be walking around. I don't think I ever told you this, but I got chased by a skunk late one night.
You know,
I was outside my house. All of a sudden, a skunk chased me down. I screamed like a little child, and I ran inside my
yeah,
house because it was like, it was a skunk.
yeah,
But, and I could see those, of course you have your bunnies, you have your rabbits, your squirrels.
yeah,
And if you see them, you're like, okay, that's, that it's like, don't get me wrong. If you see a possum late at night, that thing gets scary, but you're
yeah.
like,
It
oh, it's a
is.
possum,
Or a raccoon too.
or a
Those are
raccoon. Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. They're creepy looking little guys. And, you know,
Hmm.
but you could still tell that's what it is. An owl,
Yeah,
I, again, you're right. I have never seen an owl at night, let alone
yeah. Me either.
see one that just kind of like looks creepy and looks like a human. And then, like, remember the last story we told? Didn't the lady didn't she like hide because it came after her? Like it was like
Hmm.
diving
They like
towards her?
they like flew at her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Maybe Schiller Park and O'Hare have some kind of like rabid owls, or some owls that are just really gutsy, just creeping people out.
radioactive owls.
Yeah. These owls just do not give anything.
Yeah, I should look and see if maybe there's some kind of nuclear plant next to O'Hare as well.
Yeah, look, it's at the end of the day, it's got to be an owl. Now, if and God forbid, but if something bad happens at O'Hare, okay, the next Geekers Creepers, we're going to talk about this topic and we're going to dig into this because that is, you know,
Too coincidental.
yeah, too coincidental. You've got, you know, that's two in a row. And again, I
Hmm.
kind of want to go up to Schiller Park now and see if I could, well, maybe not, because I don't want to I don't want it to turn out that it is the Mothman, because then
Yeah,
what'll happen?
it's gonna eat you.
I know.
He's gonna eat you like chupacabras.
Yeah. Maybe we could have him on the show. Look, look, Mr. Mothman,
Yeah.
uh we need a guest star.
Yeah. Can you
If
be on Geekers Creepers? We need a bigger audience.
you
This will
you
draw you. This.
I'm telling you, you got to watch this movie, man. It's like the Mothman Prophecies is creepy. Like he goes by the name of Enid Cole. He's like,
Mhm.
how does he talk? He's like, hello, John. My name is Enid Cole. It's like really weird, and like it's a creepy movie, man. And uh, yeah, I mean, who knows what they saw out there? Don't get me wrong. I think I'd be scared too if I saw like a big owl
Yeah.
or something that looked like that perched outside by, you know, because again, like you said,
And then flying at you too.
yeah, and then flying at you, just kind of it stretches out its wings and flies off. And the
Mhm.
way they make it seem, each of them keeps saying that it's like this huge, tall, humanoid creature. And look, I've seen pictures of owls. They're about what, like maybe 2 to 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I remember I mentioned last time that my buddy Jason, he said he saw an owl that was like 4 feet. So maybe
Mm.
there's like some kind of like, I don't know, like we said, mutated or just extremely large owls that are scaring people because they're just so big.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's definitely an interesting story, the Mothman story, and it's pretty cool that it's near us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is more interesting. That we could actually, like you said, go down to Schiller Park and do some investigative reporting.
Yeah, no, walk into the forest and just like we'll probably get mugged and
Yeah.
you know more more likely to get mugged than to see the Mothman, but still.
Yeah, we should go like at midnight or something like that, and on a full moon and see what happens on a Friday the 13th.
Hey, that's this week, right?
What, Friday the 13th?
Yeah, Friday 13th.
Oh, damn, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Is it
man,
is it Mothman time?
I think it's gonna be Mothman time. And there's a full
after
moon that
after
just
that, we
passed.
could go drive by and see if we could pick up Resurrection Mary.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The whole Chicago creepy experience. We should start
Yeah.
a bus tour.
when, when Resurrection Mary gets in the car, we'll be like, "Excuse me, Mary, but you got to put on your
Yeah,
mask."
yeah. You gotta put on your mask, and now we're going to Schiller Park where we're gonna pick up Mothman.
We start our own little squad. It's like a
The Creeper
monster.
Squad.
Yeah, the Creeper Squad. Ain't no party like a creeper party because a creeper party don't stop.
This gets creepier.
Jose, put your clothes back on. This is that type of party.
Oh, not that kind of creep, I guess.
Oh man. Yeah, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens with this. I mean, let's see how many more Mothman. It's got to be an owl, but man, that's got to be a huge owl, you
Yeah.
know. And yeah, you're right. I mean,
Well,
like my parents live out in the middle of nowhere, and you're right.
mhm.
I've never seen an owl out there. I thought I would have at least seen one. And even if I saw an
Yeah.
owl, they're like 2 feet tall. They don't look like, you know. Again, I don't know. I shouldn't speak because it's
Even
so
bats
weird.
I've seen.
The what?
I've seen bats.
Yeah, I've seen bats too. I've seen bats,
Yeah, but
everything.
I've never seen an owl. Yeah. Hmm.
But
Must be a rare sighting.
I'll keep an eye out for any more Mothman sightings, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a bad omen. Hopefully it's
Yeah.
just just people that are seeing this like extremely huge owl that just doesn't care, and it's doing his own thing.
Because also, like you said, they could your buddy saw one for like 4 feet, right?
Hmm.
But with a shadow in the dark, shadows are bigger
Yeah.
than the actual size. So 4 feet could easily double to 8 feet.
Hmm.
You're like, oh man, it's a big, um, monster. It was like 8 feet, but when in reality you're only looking at a 4 foot and a shadow.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they're seeing these at at night or when there's like no visibility outside.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with it. It's probably an owl, and like you said, I mean, animals are already creepy enough, and when they're chasing your, when they come after you, man, it can be it can be pretty
Yeah.
scary.
You don't got to tell me about it. I had that. I had my skunk incident. So the
Yeah,
skunk
you don't
man,
want to get sprayed.
skunk
Skunk man
skunk man
prophecies.
prophecies, man. It's like there was no bad omen there. It was just me screaming and running inside the house.
Yeah, it sprayed you so bad you were able to see into the future.
The crazy thing is like it didn't even like at first I thought it was a cat. I'm outside, I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
it's a stupid cat. So like, it starts walking towards us. I did like I stomped my foot. I'm like, get out of here, cat.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it looks at me, it's like and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like that's not a cat. And I saw the stripe. And I'm not kidding, man. That little guy just came right at me. And I did the and I opened up the door and I ran in. Like
Oh man.
I've never been, like it's one of those things like it must have had rabies, man, because this thing it just did
Yeah,
not care. It was
it was gonna
well,
spray you.
yeah, the Skunk Man prophecies. That's gonna be my new book. Yeah,
Oh man.
but but all right, we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come right back and we're gonna talk about our next topic. The next topic we're gonna bring up though, that's it's about a missing father. So his name is Ricardo James, and we're gonna quickly read just a little update, and I'll include a picture and some information about him, uh, and just anybody that might know what happened. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. It was October 29th, 2001, in St. Louis, Missouri. The weather was sunny and it was 60 degrees. Ricardo D. James was a father of two who had won sole custody of his children soon after their birth and was also an extremely protective father. James had a 6-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. At this time, he was staying with a woman named Shananikia N. Pierce, and he was staying at her apartment. Now, on the day of October 29th, 2011, the children told police they were with their father when he met Miss Pierce and that they were at Pierce's apartment when James left with someone in a car and never returned. The children did help the police find Pierce's apartment. Ricardo, Mr. James, was seen leaving with someone in a car and has never been seen again. After his disappearance, Miss Pierce, took the children and left them at a vacant house in Granite City, Illinois, and was subsequently charged with child abandonment. She actually disappeared in February of 2012, but was found alive. Ricardo's family says they have no idea who Miss Pierce is and do not know how Ricardo knew her. Ricardo worked at a nursing home, attended church regularly, and never drank alcohol or used drugs. His family is concerned about his disappearance as they say he loved his children dearly and will never leave them alone. Miss Pierce is not considered a suspect and authorities have little to nothing to work on. Okay, Jose, that's just a quick
Mm.
summary of what happened to Mr. James. So, look, I found this. I'm going to attach a copy of the Charlie Project, um, which gives a little detail of who to contact and what happened. This story is just it's a missing persons case, and it's really
Yeah.
unusual. It's on the creepy side, to be honest, because you had a father who didn't do drugs. He worked at a nursing home. He has a good job helping people. Doesn't drink. Doesn't do drugs. He had a 6 and a 7 year old who he fought to get custody for. I mean, that was
Hmm.
he was protective of him. He got custody of them, and then the last time his children see him are getting into a car. They He drives off. He's never seen again. And next thing you know, Miss Pierce, the person that he was seeing, the woman he was staying at, leaves the kids at a vacant house in Granite City, and yet she's not a suspect in any way. She just leaves them. She's charged with child abandonment.
Hmm.
She's not a suspect. I mean, there's so many uh, unusual things in the story. Why would she leave the kids somewhere? Why not call the police? Say, hey, look, the father hasn't come by to pick him up. Call the mother. Did she not know?
Yeah.
Or if she wasn't that acquainted, let's just put it. She had to have been acquainted enough with this with Mr. James because his kids knew where to lead the police to. They led her to her place. You know, I don't know. This is really weird. I mean, just by looking at it, and again, to any listeners, we're not professional detectives in any way. We're just kind of looking at the story and saying like, maybe this is what may have happened. Um,
Yeah.
with something like this, what do you think may have happened? And Jose, I do apologize. Your audio's not working.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh,
Can
you're
you hear
good.
me?
I can hear you now.
All right, hold on. My cat was over here on top of me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So as Robert was saying, again, this is just our opinion, um, just as anybody would be speaking, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a very, I don't know, it's not like a strange situation going on here with the dad just disappearing. He just left and, leaving the kids with the mom, or, well, I guess what they would be, what, the stepmom
It wasn't even they weren't even married.
or
It was just like his
like the girlfriend.
girlfriend or a friend. There's not much more that we know about that. And the family didn't
Yeah.
know who this person was.
Yeah, oh man, that's like you said. Why would she just leave them? Uh, just like dump them off, like, oh, here, like some random kids. Like,
Mhm.
here you go. I'll just dump you here,
At a vacant
and
house. Um,
at a vacant house when they, like you said, she could have dropped them off at the kids' real mom's house, or at a church, even, anywhere, at a hospital. But yeah, she drops him off at an abandoned house. I mean, it could be, I don't know. Obviously I don't know the guy. There there has been stories and situations, I don't know, where this happened a lot during the Great Depression. Um, Dads were just abandoning
mhm.
their families. He probably, I don't know his situation. I don't know if he was, in a financial rut where you figured, like, what's probably better off for me just to leave. And that could have been an option for him, just to take off. But again, he hasn't been seen since.
And my only issue with that theory is that he fought. It says here that Ricardo D. James was a father of two who had won sole custody of the children soon after
Yeah,
their birth. So he had a 6 and a 7 year old that he won custody of them, and he was very
yeah,
protective of them. Um, so it's not like if if you didn't want to be in the kid's life, I don't think he would have fought to get custody of them.
hmm,
Um, and then again, who knows? Yeah, maybe he decided to start a new life, but again, Nobody's heard of him. He's been gone since 2011. I believe October 29th, that this it just recently marks the 9-year anniversary of him
Wow.
disappearing. And, what is with this lady, Miss Pierce, even though she's not a suspect, I mean, and all I have is this basic information, but rather than dropping the kids off at some random house in Granite City, some vacant house, why not call the police and say, look, the father hasn't shown up. We
Yeah.
have these two kids. I gotta put him. We gotta put him in a home. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is. Look, this gentleman, he's African American, um, and I don't know if this is in St. Louis. I don't know if it's the police you know, not doing a thorough investigation, because this sounds like, I don't know. This sounds shady. Like something's going on. Uh,
Yeah.
the family says he didn't do drugs and he didn't drink. And I'll take their word on this, that he didn't use drugs, um, and he had a good job at a nursing home. But then what was this that all of a sudden? Why was he getting in a car just to leave? Was there? Yeah, man, this is just,
A bizarre story.
it's extremely bizarre. I mean, I don't know.
So, and I mean, no updates about the kids or anything like that. Like,
I couldn't find anything. No.
yeah, yeah, it's a fishy story indeed. Like, it could be a lot of issues. Like I said, it could be like, you know what? Maybe he just wanted to start a new family. I mean, I know
Mhm.
he fought for his kids and everything,
Yeah.
but things change. Maybe he. Oh man, that's just weird. But the part is about that, like him, like if he did want to start a new family or whatever, is that you don't know what happened to him.
No.
He just like disappeared, which makes it even more fishy. And like you said, it doesn't sound like the cops did any more digging into, like, well, maybe there could have been some kind of foul play, or why wasn't the lady's questioned as to what happened to that guy?
Well,
Like,
it says
or
she
further.
she was probably questioned, but it says her name is, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. It's like it's Shana Nikia. But it
Mhm.
says she's not considered a suspect, and authorities have little to nothing to work on. Um, Geez, I mean, it just everything. So the kids saw him get into a car and drive off
Mhm.
with somebody else, and even let's say he did want to start a new life and just said, um, and maybe he left the kids there thinking that this Miss Pierce would take care of him, and instead she dropped him off in Granite City. Um, but I don't know, man. I mean, this is one of those stories where I have absolutely no clue um,
Yeah.
what happened, because like they don't say that it looks like he was forced to get in the car. He got in a car. He was never seen again, and his
Mhm.
two kids who he fought for were left in a vacant building. I mean, there's no it.
Yeah, you don't know who he got in the car with. Could have been friends, or did he get kidnapped?
But it wasn't like
You
he was
know,
forced to, and he was like they watched this happen. Um, he was seen leaving with someone in a car.
yeah. I mean, the kids saw him. It doesn't look forced, but
Mhm.
maybe it was forced. Maybe it could have been like at gunpoint, and the kids didn't
Yeah,
see it. Like, hey, get in the car.
My,
Don't make a move.
the,
Get in the
the
car.
the only other thing I could think of is, and again, this is just it's speculation. I have absolutely no proof of this, and this is just a theory of something that may have happened. Um, the only thing I could think of is maybe he was involved in something, let's say criminal activity, right? He gets picked up
Hmm.
by somebody and they're going to commit. He needs the money. He's got kids. He's got to help them out. He goes out with them. Something goes wrong, and the woman he was with, maybe she knew something about it, but there's not enough evidence to tie her into what may have happened. You know,
Yeah.
Just like, look, he knew, they all knew a third person. They go commit an act, something goes wrong, and Mr. James, doesn't make it.
That's a good point.
And, you know, what is this lady doesn't, she's probably just like, I don't want these kids. I'm just going to leave them somewhere. She just
Yeah.
gets, it's just child abandonment. But of
She's
course,
like,
she's
they're not
not,
my kids.
yeah. And she may know what have happened, but there's so little to tie her to anything that she just won't, she'll just, there's no need for her to say anything. Now, again, this is just theory.
Yeah.
In no way am I saying this happened. No way at all. But I'm just trying to think of something that would, with with the facts that we have in this story, that would match up with why a father of two children would suddenly up and leave. And,
Hmm.
and
After
again,
fighting for them, like you said.
exactly, after fighting for them. It's one thing if, you know, he didn't want to have the kids and he's just like, he got stuck with the kids and it's just like, well, I'm
Yeah.
going to leave. Or,
I'm walking out of here.
yeah. And again, maybe he did do that. Maybe he's living somewhere in Mexico, kid free, enjoying a margarita. But, you know,
Let's hope not.
yeah,
But that,
it's,
that's pretty messed up.
yeah, man. But, whoever, any listeners out there, I'm going to post again I'll have a link to the Charlie Project with his information. It's got a picture of him, and some, it's got some basic info, and hopefully maybe somebody knows what happened to him. I mean, this is recent, as of 2011. This was out of St. Louis, and I'm hoping that maybe some listeners or somebody will have more information, as opposed to, again, I've got to look, and I'm not talking bad about anybody in particular, but a lot of times when Black Americans, when they go missing, there a lot of times there isn't as much effort put into it. It's
Yeah.
happened in the past. um as soon as like a pretty blonde girl goes missing, you'll see that on the news. You had your Natalie Holloways, all those, the ones that
Hmm.
suddenly
National
popped up.
media.
Exactly. This is a black male who went missing. So I'm not saying the police didn't put any effort, but it's not like they're getting, signs out and putting stuff out to say, hey, look, find this guy. Where's this guy? Where's this guy?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
got a reward for him, because if
Right.
something nefarious happened, you have two children who are now, honestly, one of them is, they're 15 and 16. For the last 9 years, they've they've not known what happened to their father, and that's not a way to grow up, especially because, like you said, I mean, maybe in the back of their heads they are thinking that, did my dad just leave me? Did he just
Yeah.
up and decide not to take care of us? So you know if that's why he left, then Mr. James, you're a jerk. That's not a
Yes.
way. Take care of your kids, or figure something else out. But the way this story is set up, um, uh, yeah, it's crazy. Like, again, with this lady, the Miss Pierce, it says that she took the children and left them at a vacant home in Granite City and was charged with child abandonment. Then she disappeared in February of 2012. She up and disappeared, but was found
Yeah.
alive. So there's so much more to this story that everywhere I looked, I couldn't find anything. So somebody has information about this, and hopefully there'll be an answer to this.
Yeah, and that's the thing about like you said, certain stories just disappear from the media, right?
Mhm.
Like, who knows what could have happened? There probably could have been an update already, but they're probably like, ah, whatever. It's old story. Who cares? Like you said, it's not an attractive story, right? It's not a
Mhm.
story that would sell. And because yeah, a lot of it just doesn't make any sense. It just sounds like a weird, um, like, I don't know if you've heard how AI is creating stories now, or writing
Mhm.
stories. It sounds like an AI type of story that is just created by AI, and it just made up some random stuff.
Yeah, just like
Like,
the
and,
perfect the
and
perfect crime or whatever. Just like it's mysterious enough that it leaves it open. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, who knows? It could be an experiment, and that was probably like let's have AI write a story and see, what kind of, you know, buzz we get over it or something, because it just sounds like a weird,
No,
made up story.
no, but this was legit, man. I'm telling you, like it's on the, like I
Yeah.
said, Charlie Project does have what their website. Do you know what the Charlie Project is?
No.
Okay, so it's a website that their purpose is to they get a listing of all the missing people in the United States. They give details of how they went missing, where they lived, pictures of what they look like, any updated ones, and who to contact if you know any information. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of people on there. Um, but each one, they've got like this person went missing this date, and so I made sure that this wasn't a some bogus thing. I went on the
An AI
website.
rated.
Yeah, it wasn't. This was not AI created. This is legitimately Mr. James went missing. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a sad thing in 9 years. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping there's closure to this in one way or the other. Hopefully, he's found. But it's just everything about this is just mysterious. Everything from the fact,
Yeah.
like I said, the fact that he got in a car with somebody and never came back. He had kids that were dropped off somewhere. And all this from a person that by all accounts was a good human. He had
Hmm.
a good job,
Cared for
uh,
his kids.
cared for his kids, didn't drink or do drugs, attended
Yeah.
church regularly. Um, yeah, but yeah, if anybody out there has their own theories about what they think may have happened, or if they know more about the story, please, if you guys actually know more about the story, because I looked everywhere. If you're in the St. Louis area, and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually, we know about this. Definitely send us an
Hmm.
email at Geekers Creepers Cast because I'd like to know more about this. We could include it into our next podcast. Um, it's something to hopefully uh, fill out a lot of these holes in the story.
Yeah. It's also weird that because we've done quite a few missing stories
Mm,
or missing people stories, right? It's still like kind of like mind-boggling that that could actually happen. Like somebody can just disappear and no
mm.
one knows what happened to them.
Yeah,
Are they, if they're dead, if they're alive, if they've disappeared somewhere else? It's just like I don't know, man. I hope that never happens to me where somebody that I know just disappears
mhm.
because it it's, that's worse than knowing that somebody died
Mm.
because you don't know what happens. You don't know if they're alive or dead or were they tortured or nothing. They just disappeared. It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, there's some disappearing stories where the person you're like, you kind of get the gist, and you're like, oh, maybe that person did just leave to start a new life. Like, all
Hmm.
right, well, more power to them, I guess, if they want to. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of the stories, it just, um, yeah, I mean, it's just scary. All of a sudden, one day,
Yeah.
that person is just poof, up and gone, and nobody has an idea. You would think with like the technology we have that you'd be able to find anybody. You have your
Hmm.
phone on you, or there's cameras everywhere you go. You know
Right. Right.
that you'd
And
be able
this
to
is pretty
find people.
recent. Like
Yeah.
like you said, this is 2011. This is cell phone era already. Definitely cameras everywhere. We
Mhm.
have cameras on almost every corner nowadays. I'm sure they were there 10 years ago, or well, not even 10 years ago, 9 years ago. And yeah, it's just so weird. Like how
I mean,
there's hundreds of stories like this.
look at remember that Jussie Smollett case?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Chicago, they were able to find where he was at. They were able to find out where the supposed attackers were at by cameras. They were actually able to use cameras and like their
Hmm.
phones and everything to pinpoint exactly where they were at all times. You know,
Yeah.
and it was a big case, and the police used their manpower, but they were able to track everything down. And again,
Hmm.
this person, this is in St. Louis. It's not rural America. You would
Yeah.
think that the police, if they put enough, I mean, it's not Jussie Smollett, so I guess they're not going to put as much effort, which I don't think it's right. But I mean, it's just the way the world works.
Right.
But
Right.
at the end of the day, if you have a missing father, there's got to be a camera everywhere. You drive by, a gas station, there's going to be a camera there. You drive by,
Hmm.
a bank, there's a camera there. Um, so yeah, man, it's a crazy story, and hopefully there'll be resolutions specific, mainly for his kids. This is not,
Yeah.
not a way to, it's sad to, if they never find out and have the kids, for the rest of their lives saying, well, we don't know what happened to our dad. We have absolutely no
Right.
clue what happened to our dad. Um, but with that said, um, that would be the end of our show for today. As usual, if you guys have any questions or any comments or anything else you want to talk about, if there's any stories that you know of, either missing persons, creepy stories, supernatural stories, paranormal stories, send us an email at geekerscreeperscast@gmail.com. As usual, you can follow us at Geekers Creepers, and that's Twitter. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so with that, Jose, is there anything left you need to say?
No, I just hope, like I say every week, I hope everyone has a great week. We're gonna have great weather for at least the next 3 days. So get out there and get that vitamin D, and maybe get a little tan, because after that it's probably gonna be all downhill.
Yeah, and everyone, thank you for listening as usual. Yeah, this week was actually, you know what? Now I remember why I didn't play any video games this week. I was involved in who the next president was going to be. I was doing nothing but
All
watching
right.
the
The
presidential
election.
election stuff. So yeah, it looks like in my opinion, it looks like things are getting brighter. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully, hopefully, yeah, hopefully things will get better. It won't be the only thing we won't have to worry about, we'll have to worry about more the Mothman than we will about actual violence on the streets.
Yeah.
I prefer that. Let's keep the creepy to the Mothman and not worried about hatred, real hatred.
Yeah. I was
But
I was thinking about that too. I was like, man, what's the media gonna do now? They're gonna be like, oh man, because as much as they hate Trump, they love him. They're
oh
like,
yeah,
man, he's
media absolutely
ratings
loves
gold.
him. I agree
Yeah.
100%. That man, he was a media darling. Like people are like, all right,
Yeah.
well, we've got stories for the next 4 years. Uh,
Yes, yes. Like they're gonna be like, oh man, like Biden's great, but he's kind of boring.
yeah,
He's no Trump.
I think I'm okay with getting boring for a while. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And honestly, look, and this isn't a political podcast, but I've got a feeling that President Trump will probably maybe start his own show. Like he'll start a network, work with Fox, and
Yeah.
do his own thing there. Trust me, he'll be okay. I don't think there's
Yeah,
any
he'll be okay.
uh
He he's
he's not.
ratings gold.
Yeah, he's ratings gold. That's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to start a show. He'll
Hmm.
probably call it I don't know. the I'm trying to think like what the show trumping it
How to
with
be a
Trump. I don't know.
yeah.
um,
Whatever.
yeah. But all right. So thank you everyone for listening. We very, Jose and I, we appreciate it. Any listeners out there, we do this for fun, and any listeners, it means more than you can imagine. And as usual, until next time, we wish you all the best in life, love, and gaming. Good night, everybody.